Hello everybody, today I'm going to be playing with some napkins to see what kind of things we can use them for. I got these from Sainsbury's, so we've got these ones with the kind of wildflowers, I think the wildflowers anyway, and then these which are more sketchy. I also have another one somewhere that I dug out, and this one was from Tesco's ages ago, but I really like that, so I thought we'd give that a try as well. I'll start by opening some of these ones. I think we'll go with this pack first. Now let's see if they've got a sticky tab to open. Doesn't look like it. Oh, that was easier than I thought it was going to be. So the idea is to use these kind of as rice papers or as tissue decoupage type paper. Let's see what we've got here. I think that's really pretty. So I thought I could do something quite simple first. I hope you can hear me alright. I feel like I'm being quiet today. The dishwasher is running in the background, so if you can hear that, I do apologise. Right, so I'm going to use some Mod Podge for this. I've got Mod Podge. So I'm just going to cut a piece a little bit larger than the tag itself. I kind of want to have a bit of yellow. I might go across here so that I get a few different colours in the background. Let's try that. Now I can feel that there's some plies trying to come apart here. So these are 3 ply. Which is useful because you can see where the tag is underneath. I think I'll get a smaller paintbrush. I only brought this one, which might be a bit overwhelming for that little tag. Sorry, I struggled to find some medium-sized paintbrushes. So I'm just going to slap a load of that on. And we'll see where this takes us. Should be enough, I think. Okay, let's turn it. So I definitely want some of the yellow and some of the pink. So I'm thinking if we go diagonal, like that. And then I'm going to trim the edges. I don't know why I've picked such a small tag, it's just what I had lying on my desk. I'm not worrying about the wrinkles because I think they'll just add to the effect. At least that's what I'm telling myself. Okay. And then a layer over the top to seal it. And then that just gives it a bit of texture as well as the nice pattern. I like it. I'm wondering if I should have taken it all the way around the edges. We'll soon find out if this works anyway. This looks good. because I find that this Mod Podge dries really fast, really quickly. So how are you all doing today? I hope you're well. I hope you're crafting. Don't forget to make time for it. Don't just watch videos. You have to get involved. Yeah, and that just makes something a bit different. And then what I'm going to do is, I think I'll make this one look more vintage by inking the edges once it's dry, and then I'm going to stitch around the edge to make a little border as well. So I'm just going to set that to one side for the time being. So let's have a look at what else we've got. Don't want my brush to sink in too far. So I've got some dictionary pages. In fact, I've got an entire dictionary that my boyfriend's mum gave to me. She was having a clear out in the attic, and I said watch out for any old books and things like that. So she gave me this dictionary, and I thought this would make a fine background to hold some of the napkins. So what I'm doing now is just basically making some interesting paper to use in projects. I'll tell you what, we'll get a couple of those pages ready. Because I'll do one for each of the napkins with those. Can we move on to our larger brush now, do we think? Let's try it. So using that same napkin again for this. And then this part can be used to add some texture. It does have a little bit of the pattern where it's bled through. I don't know if you can really see that there. But there's some pieces of leaves and things like that, so it's a bit more interesting than just plain white. And we can use that to wrinkle up, even if we do it on the dictionary paper or something like that. And it will just be something nice with interesting texture to it. So let's just cut this down. Why am I using this tiny pair of scissors? Where are my big ones? That's a good question. Where are my big ones? Oh, there they are. They're in the packaging area. So here we go. Just trim that edge off. It's a bit easier to work with. Set that to one side. These colours are beautiful. I've never seen these napkins before. I usually have a little look at the napkins when I remember, just because it's a nice, cheap, interesting thing to add into your journals, to make pockets with. But what I really want to start getting into the habit of is making bulk accessories to go on journals, so ephemera and things like that. Because I tend to make the journal first and then make bits of ephemera. And then I see all of these wonderful YouTube channels where they really focus on what they're making to go inside the journals. And I think, well, that's the most interesting bit. So I'm going to start doing that, and that's what I'll do in my videos. I'll show you how to make different things to go in. And then by the end of it, I'll have a huge stash that can be used, and then it'll make the whole journal making process a bit quicker. At least that is like a bit more, I don't mean quicker, I mean sort of easier. Oh, I love that already, look. And you can make that double-sided as well if you wanted to do a page. Shall we try that? I'm gonna do it. I don't think that piece is big enough. See if I can separate these plies now that my thumbs are all sticky. I'm going to try and get that seam into separate places on, so that when you cut it, although that doesn't matter, we'll just go for it. Overthinking things, I think. And this is a nice relaxing thing to do as well. I enjoy pasting. I think it goes back to school when we used to do papier-mâché. Papier-mâché? Papier. We used to do pasting pieces of newspaper onto balloons to make bowls and globes and things like that. It was great. So relaxing. That should be enough. And because these are see-through, you can just see exactly where the edges of the paper are, so you can just trim it down to size. I didn't paste on top of that today, so I'm going to trim those down so it's damp, but it's not too wet that I don't want to put it down on the table. And then I'm thinking I'll seal it. I'm going to seal one side and then see which effect I prefer, whether I prefer just being left dry and the texture of the actual napkin, or whether I would prefer it with the Mod Podge coating. So if you manage to get a sheet like that, that could make a page in the journal, couldn't it? If you put the whole, if you covered it all with the napkins, because they are quite large. I mean, I could have got two side by side on there. Ooh, I love that idea. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside with my little tag. And then we're going to have some coordination going as well, because I'm using the same napkins. Okay, I might do another one of those with the full size page. Sorry, it felt like I had two thicknesses there, but I didn't. It was just because I've got glue on my thumbs. Excuse me while I have a drink. Everything's buried under a layer of napkins now. So you're going to lose the texture of the paper if you try and do it with all three plies. So I want to separate that again. If I can get hold of it. Come on, thumbs, work for me. Yes. Oh, two ply these ones. At least I think they are. They may be just well stuck. We'll try it. So please let me know in the comments if you can hear the dishwasher in the background and if it is too distracting or not. It's just, I put it on and then I realised Oh no, I'm going to be able to hear that in my video. But I'm going to need, there's some things at lunchtime that are in there, so I need to let it run. So this is what I'm trying to do with my videos, just have a real-time chatty experience, and I want to be posting quite often, but I'm not getting ahead of myself. I am just going to start out at least trying to get a regular upload for Friday evenings, and then I want to branch out and do more and more and more, so that I can, what I eventually would like to do is get a video out from each day, Tuesday to Saturday, so that crafting will become part of my daily routine, because I've found that since I started doing this as an actual job, that I am neglecting my actual crafting, and I spend a lot of time making listings and photographing things and trying to do social media and get orders out, when actually making things is probably the most important part of the process. So if I force myself to do it all on camera, then it will make me sit and sorry, it will make me sit every day and do some crafting work. So let's trim those edges down. Of course you could have done this at the end when we've done the other side as well, but I've started now, so I'll finish. Wasn't that somebody's catchphrase? I've started, so I'll finish. It was on a game show, but I can't remember which one. Okay, I think what's happened here is that the napkin has in fact been a 3-ply napkin, and I have 2-ply here on the sheet, because I'm getting some ripples and I don't know if it's quite stuck completely down. So what I'm going to do is use that 1 ply that we've got left in the plain white. I'm going to stick this down, and when that's stuck I'm going to flip it, and then I'm going to use the Mod Podge to seal that one. So even this is going to look nice and pretty. I might, oh yes, I'm going to add some texture to that by giving it a little swish as I'm applying it. Did that make sense? And then what we'll be able to do is just use these pages as you would any normal kind of paper. So you can use it to make pages in your journal, you can use it to fold and make journal cards, pockets, tags, or the background for cards if that's the kind of crafting you like to do, or something like that. There's loads of ways to use paper, as we all know. This is just another kind of paper. So that's what I mean by giving it a bit of extra texture, because what I don't particularly, I'm not sure what words I've got here. I think I was just on A, on the letter A, but I'm not particularly wanting to be able to read what's behind. I just like the look of the text. So let's trim that as well, because we did the other one, didn't we? trim it down just roughly for now. And then when we actually use it, you can straighten it up. Sorry, I feel like I'm swishing this paper around a lot. It's because it keeps sticking to my hand. I should go and wash them, really. Okay, so that's the back. We can seal some of that down as well, if needed. But at the moment, I'm just going to seal this side. So, do I want to use the matte Mod Podge or do I want to use the gloss? Something is telling me to use the gloss. And that's what we're doing, we're experimenting, so listen to your gut. And you never know where it might take you. So this is gloss Mod Podge, slapped on. This will maintain the texture of your strokes a bit more, so you can be a bit more mindful of the direction of your strokes, unless you like the random look of them, which is absolutely fine. So I want all that to soak through. And then what should happen as well with it being the gloss Mod Podge is it will become a little bit more stable. It's flimsy. And I'm happy to let that wrinkle. But I suppose you could weigh it down somehow to try and keep it even flatter if you wanted. And you can see already that that looks nice. That can go in the water pot, not in my cup of tea. And turn it around so you can see it. Ooh. Okay, so I'm really excited to see how that dries. I shall pop that over my little bin to dry, so it might get a bit of an interesting shape when it dried, but I'm not worrying about that too much. Okay, let's just check on the others. As I say, it does tend to dry quite quickly. Oh, I love that. So that's got a nice paper texture at the moment. That one's still wet as well. They're both still quite damp, so I'm just going to cast those off to that side. Okay, next we will try sheet music, or a small piece of sheet music. I got this from a charity shop. The song has no particular meaning to me. I don't know if it will to anyone else. Shall we try the birds on this one? So again, I'm going to be making a piece of useful paper to make into pockets. This is really nice thick paper. I enjoy using sheet music. So let's see how many ply we get out of this one. I'm gonna guess 2. I think one's a thicker one. Is it? Because it feels thinner than the others. Okay. Kind of wanted to split again because I just would like to be able to see a little bit more of that music. Although you will be able to see it on the back, so if you use it as a journal card or a tag or something, then the sheet music will be present in the final product. No, I can't seem to separate that, so Let's just replace the lid on the gloss and reopen the lid on the non-gloss, the matte. I'm going in for another drink. So I don't know if this actually has a timer on the camera where it'll switch you off, but I'm sure that I've experienced that before. So I'm quite conscious of it because I have been recording happily away, or so I thought before, and then it switched off halfway through and I lost half a video. And that was very frustrating, I can assure you. So I don't want to happen again. However, when I get engrossed in my crafting, it's easy to lose track. What I like to try and do when you've got distressed areas like this is to keep them in, because I mean, how much time do we spend as crafters when we're making journals like this? We try and distress all of the papers and things that we use. So I'm going to cut that really close to the edge so that we don't lose that distressing. I could fold that over, should I? Try and replicate it so it looks like the whole thing's folded. I don't think so. I want to leave that cream. So I'm not cutting this as a straight piece of paper is what I'm trying to say. I'm following the piece of vintage music. I think my scissors are getting sticky now, even though they're Teflon coated ones, because Mod Podge will stick to anything, in my experience. Lovely. That will make something else interesting to add to a journal. So I'm sealing this one with the matte, and we'll see if there's a lot of difference between the finishes in terms of texture. Obviously one's gloss, one's not, but I would like to see if this gives the texture of the paper. Oh, I don't know, I just want to see how it works, what it turns out like. I'm just going to work that in so that it soaks down and gets a really good attachment to the sheet music beneath it. But isn't this napkin gorgeous? So nice. So that is an example of how you can get some cool things just from supermarkets and just use up your stash to make things that you wouldn't otherwise have. Now I'm going to leave those to dry and I'll come back and we'll see what we've got. Okay, so everything's dry and we've got all of our pieces here. So this is the double-sided flower one. I have realised that the centre section, this is upside down if this one's straight and vice versa. So I'm going to have to cut this one up to use it. But the texture is lovely. I'm pleased that I used that thin dictionary paper because it's still quite a papery texture. It's a bit like if you've ever hard handmade paper. It's that kind of texture, but it's a lot stronger than handmade paper, I think. So pleased with that one. And then this is the double page that I did with the white on the one side and then the napkin on the other. And I'm really loving how the print is shown through on this one. I just think it's going to make a cute page. So that's all I'm doing with this one, is making it into a page that can be sewn into a journal. But you could easily use that for any of the other things that I'm going to try. So my little tag looks nice as well with just the plain background behind, and you could do that in any colour. I should have done that really on a piece of coloured card just to see what effect it had on the flowers. Sorry, I'll turn my phone sound off. And then this was the music paper. So we've still got the normal paper texture on the back, and then the covered version on the front, or vice versa if you like. Okay, so I'll start with this one. I'm going to make a little envelope because I was having to play around. How did I do it? So I was just folding, and then I noticed that these birds were going to line up, because I thought it was a shame that to make an envelope I would have to lose the birds, but if we line it up right, so say we cut that bit off, we can fold that round and then meet the birds like that, if you understand what I mean. So let's just decide where that needs to be and where I need to cut. Okay, so if I cut somewhere around there, and that'll make the flap. Meet it up. So what I'm going to do is just meet that first, put it where I want it to be, and then I'm squishing it down, and then I'm just going to simply cut that jaggedy edge off with my scissors. So it makes a nice little wallet. So now I am going to stitch. And I think I will stitch one, so all the way down that side, 1, 2, all the way up and across the top, and then that'll just fold down, so that'll be stuck. You can pop something in and then that just folds down on top like that. First I want to ink that, and I need to cut that top edge off. I'm just using scissors. I think the paper trimmer might drag the Mod Podge off, so that's why I'm using scissors for this job. I'm just going to get it as straight as I can. But when we're making shabby chic things, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to leave all of my stitch until the end, and then I will bring them all back and show you how they look. I'm going to open this and then ink the edges with my Distress ink. Vintage Photo by Tim Holtz. Put a new sticky on. Well, not a new one, a matching one. Brown for the brown ink. I think I'll round those corners as well. If I can find my corner rounder. Where is it? I have seen it today. Did I put it away? Just buried under my other punches. The angle isn't quite perfect, so maybe not. Just finish that a little bit more. No, that's wrong. Upside down. There we go, and that'll be sweet. That's probably a little bit wonky, but I don't really mind that. Okay, so I'll set that to one side. Oh, and now we're going to ink this because this is going to get stitched as well. And then I'm going to re-pierce that hole with my crocodile as well. And then I'll put a string through it. Sorry, I should let you see it first, shouldn't I? So that might be something that could go inside that little wallet. Okay, this I want to cut down to size. So let's check, where's my ruler at? So I make the signatures in my journal a maximum of 15 by 21. And this is 15, what was it, 15 and a half? No, well, yeah, almost 15 and a half by 23 and a half. So we need to take some off there to allow it to fit in. I'm going to do this with scissors. And then I'm just following the text as a guide. It's nice to cut. Is that any closer? 21 and a half, so I'm going to shave a little bit more off the bottom. So that's less than 21 now. And that would just make a lovely page, so I want to stitch the edges of that as well. I'm just in the mood to do stitching today by the looks of it. So let's see how well I can ink these edges. Just with it lifting a little bit on some edges where I haven't quite glued it down properly. The stitching will help to keep it all in place. So I'm not worried about it actually sticking, but I just want to be careful with lifting it in my inking process. We'll darken that seam as well, slightly. Take the harsh whiteness away. I just like the way everything looks when it's inked and it all has a nice cohesive border. Do that with the other side as well slightly. Turn it inside out to get those edges, to get the crease. A nice dusting. Don't want it to be too dark in there. Lovely jubbly. I haven't decided if I'm definitely going to stitch that yet, but At least we've got the choice. Now, with this one, I'm going to make a pocket with the bottom part. So let's make sure that that will fit in as well. Yeah, that's small enough. And then I'm going to use my circle punch to cut out a little thumb pull. Thought it was going to stick there, but it didn't. Thank you. Punch! Around those bottom corners, but not the top. Sorry, I've got mess everywhere now. And then ink the edges. And then I am going to stitch this, even close enough there. Now the rest of this, right, so that middle section is the bit that is upside down one way and then the right way up the other way. I'm still going to chop those, just cut those wide margins off. And they can be added onto journal cards, or they can be just background pieces of paper. And this I'm going to fold. Neaten all those edges a little bit. Easier said than done. Then I'm going to round those corners, the outside edges, the edges that open up. And I'm going to ink those inside and out. I'm going to go down the seam. It's not called the seam, what is it? The fold. And then what I'm going to do is just get some tea-dyed paper. 1 minute, I'll come back. I found this tatty piece of tea-dyed paper in my stash. And I'm just going to make a little booklet. So we want that to be narrower than the cover. This is the cover. Not worried about this being totally straight or anything. Fold it roughly in the middle. Cut it shorter than the cover. too much in there. Too wide. Just chop a couple of mils off the edges. And then that's just a cute little notebook to go inside. And then I'm going to stitch that down the... This has got a name and I can't think of what it is today for some reason. While I've got this out, let's make that journal card. Decide which side I like the look of. Right, so I like this side best. Going around in the corners. And then I'm just going to cut a piece to go inside. And that will just tuck into a pocket or something. There's a nice tactile piece of ephemera. You glue that in. Actually, just for quickness, I'll use my tape runner. Just come loose. The ribbon has come loose for some reason. Make sure I keep it the right way. Okay. Nice. Okay, I'm going to stitch those up and then I'll show you what it looks like. Right, so I decided not to stitch this one just because the sewing machine wasn't plain ball. And I thought it might chew this to pieces, so I left that one. But then, so that's both sides. We've got that with the white napkin, and that with the patterned one, and so simply done. I really think it's an effective piece to have in your journal. It's really nice. There's just something so satisfying about it when you touch it. So this is a little envelope that I made. I even stitched around the blemish in the paper. As you can see, we've got a few skipped stitches there. I think I need to try and rethread in the machine. It's one that I've just borrowed from my mum because I wanted to have one here for stitching paper right next to me. So I've got her old one, but she couldn't remember if there was anything wrong with it when she upgraded. So I think that might have been one of the problems, is it was skipping a few stitches. But it does have a more robust feeling to it than that other piece did. So, but I think it's cute, isn't it? And I like that you can see the paper inside as well. So you've still got that vintage paper being used. And then we have the little tag. Let's see if we can find some string to put in there. I feel like this has gone a lot darker than it was this morning. Just cut a piece of string, because as you know, I only like tags with strings. Unless, like if they've got a hole, they have to have a string. If not, then it's just, what's the point in the hole? It just has a nice rustic look about it. Everything is sticking to these scissors now that they've got Mod Podge all over them. So there's the tag. Pretty, right? Very simple. Here's the pocket. So I just stitched all around the edge. Here's the journal card, I stitched that one as well. I like to leave the tassels on sometimes, just as an extra element of texture when somebody's looking through your journal. I might trim those down a little bit because they're a bit extreme. Something like that. And I think what I'll probably do is layer something over the top on the back there. So out of those 3 napkins and a couple of dictionary pages, we've got a page to go in a signature. We've got a little tag. We've got a little journal card. We've got a little mini notebook. We've got the pocket. And then we've got the envelope. And the envelope is my favourite because of the finish on it. It just feels kind of leathery. It's really nice. And it feels a lot more robust. So for making things like envelopes, I think it's pretty ideal. And it's just a really nice napkin as well. And the bird's face is still lined up, so I'm happy. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching this week's video. I will see you again next week for another. And until then, have a lovely week and yeah, okay, bye.